This video sucks. Hi, I'm Carissa. This is the FatGirlFlow channel. You know, the whole spiel. This lens is really dirty. Okay, so from the title of this video, you already know what we're getting into. We're going to be talking about Jay and I rehoming our dog, Taco. I didn't put makeup on and stuff because I don't know, I guess I could cry. So we'll just kind of jump into this. I want to start just by saying that I am sharing this because many people have asked about Taco, and also because I've got some really nasty comments on my most recent videos about our dog. Not that I need to, but I just want to clarify what happened, and I want to talk about it also because I have had a lot of people contact me and say that like following our journey with Taco, which I've been sharing it a lot on my private Facebook, but I have lots of friends on my private Facebook and I've been sharing it a little bit on Twitter. Anyway, there are several people who have really said like that watching our journey with him has been very helpful for them, and they think it's something more people need to talk about because responsibly rehoming pets is something that does have to happen sometimes, and people get so upset about it. But I think that us talking about it might, I don't know, it might help change the conversation, or not, hopefully it will. I'm not sure. I don't know. Or it will be a good resource for someone who's maybe looking at what they have to do with their pet. Whatever, we're gonna put it out there and see what happens. Obviously, we're in the new house. I'm gonna do a new house tour soon. We are not unpacked. There's just like crap all around me. I wanna start this video by addressing something that that sucks that I have to address. I feel like I shouldn't have to address it, and I shouldn't have to say anything to justify or defend myself in any way, shape, or form, maybe ever, but especially with this because it is something that has been like so personal and so difficult and like traumatic to Jay and I, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it anyway. I have had some comments on my YouTube about how we have got rid of our dog because we are lazy and because he was too active, and because we're fat fucks who can't take care of a dog. I just want to very quickly address this and say that, first of all, fat people can have dogs, disabled people can have dogs, dogs can be part of many different kinds of people's families, and it doesn't make those people like if someone's in a wheelchair, it doesn't make them a bad person for getting a dog just because they cannot physically run with a dog. To me, that is just like an insane way of looking at dog companionship, and I just, for the sake of this video, I want to let y'all know that our dogs had the most exercise available to them that they could possibly have. We are not financially wealthy, but we are not doing terribly for ourselves. Our dogs had access to daycare. Our dogs go for hikes at the dog park. They chase the cat around. In addition, there are dog walking services even that if Taco would have been able to be around other people that we would have had access to. There was no shortage of exercise in our dog's lives. Taco's personality had nothing to do with whether he was exercised enough or not. He was frequently, very, very frequently exercised enough, and we just didn't get rid of our dog because we're lazy. That's not only a hurtful thing to say, but it's just untrue. So I want to get that out of the way. Okay, just changed the camera because the camera died, so that's a good start to this. The important part is that whatever your perception of Jay and I as human beings, as fat people, whatever that perception is, I feel very confident in saying that it did not play into rehoming Taco. Also, in the comments, don't be ableist. Don't talk about how certain people shouldn't own dogs. Like, good God, don't be an asshole in the comments of this video. So we got Taco in April of last year. Taco was a transplant from Aruba. There is a big issue with stray dogs in Aruba, and so they have a program where they fly stray dogs back to the States and they live with foster families until they get adopted. This happens a lot in communities. Like the community we live in, very frequently the shelter does not have dogs in it. And that's because it's a dog community. There are lots of people here who want dogs. So like when they have a clear the shelter day, it's cleared immediately. So they find these communities that are like, you know, dog loving communities, and these Aruban, what they're called kanukus, that's what locals call them, are fostered here and then they get adopted. We adopted Taco from a foster who was incredible and kind, and when I saw Taco was up for adoption, I did a lot of research on the breed. In hindsight, I wish I maybe would have joined a couple Facebook groups to get some like personal opinions about this breed, because after being in a Facebook group about them for a very long time, it's not surprising to me that Taco had these reactive anxiety issues. There are a lot of people going through what we went through with Taco in this group, and I wish I would have had that perspective before getting him, because while I have had dogs my whole life, I have never had a dog who just hated people, namely children. Anyway, we got him and he was a little angel baby. He's always been like our little chosen child. We love him so, so much. He was just goofy and funny and got along so well with Petty. Him and Petty became best friends very quickly. It wasn't until we rehomed Taco that we realized that maybe Petty wasn't doing as great with him as we thought she was. Since we have had him out of the house, Petty has seemed to relax a lot. Any of her behavior issues have kind of disappeared. On top of that, our cat, since we got Taco, has been throwing up her meals immediately after eating, and has not thrown up once since Taco hasn't been with us. So there was obviously some energy in the house that was not working for our other pets, and we maybe ignored that a little bit because we were just so hyper focused on Taco. But in hindsight, it does reinforce and validate our decision. I have a niece and nephew. They're 6 and 2 now, and Taco had been around my niece and nephew from a very young age. Taco had also been going to daycare from a very young age. He's been socialized. He just we did things right, where I'm pretty good at this. We have the resources to do it. He's been to daycare, he's been around people, and I think it was maybe right around 6 months that we started seeing Taco just visibly getting very anxious. There would be incidents at the dog park where he would just kind of go up to someone and bark, but would come back to us, but was obviously a little bit riled up. And one of the more noticeable things that happened was that he kind of stopped sleeping. Anytime he was out of his crate and he was laying with us or whatever, he was always hyper vigilant. He was always half awake. He would do this thing where we'd see him start to fall asleep, but he'd be and I mean, that was a big deal to us. Seeing that he can't comfortably fall asleep and stay asleep is there's something going on with him, but very young. This was, between 6 and 9 months we started noticing this, and the vet kind of said, let's watch him and let's see what happens. Maybe try maybe try covering his crate with a blanket at night or something like that. Maybe try to, I don't know, we tried all sorts of stuff. But when Taco was about, I want to say 11 months old maybe, he went to obedience training. He went for a week and stayed with a trainer that we really, really like, that we think did an incredible job. We thought that getting some training for him might make him more confident and might it would redirect his attention when he was not doing well, so that he could hear us and listen to our commands and just kind of be redirected. He did incredible at obedience training. He picked up very quickly. He came home just like a dog who was very obedient and very sweet. Our trainer had 2 kiddos. He had started to become fearful of my niece and nephew around 6 to 9 months again. And just like, they're good kids who understand boundaries with dogs, and we can tell them, no, like, don't get near the dog, leave the dog alone, don't be rude, kind of stuff. He wasn't fully scared, but like, sometimes if they made like a sudden noise or something like that, he would scurry away, and we could tell he was getting anxious around them. When we brought him to obedience training, the trainer had kiddos, and we told her like, hey, he, like, besides my niece and nephew, if he sees a kid like while we're out walking or anything, he will like get grumbly, and we always keep him like away from kids because it seems like this is kind of a thing, right? When we picked him up from the trainer, she reassured us, like, she was very like, you know, don't worry about my kids, they know the rules, and Taco will always be watched in the house, so we didn't have to worry about that, which was really nice. And we kind of were maybe hopeful that a little bit of exposure to kids who had like very good boundaries would be helpful. But when we got Taco, our trainer said, you know, this dog is likely never gonna be okay around children. That was like our first oh shit moment. Jay and I want to have kids in the future, and probably not the too far off future, probably within 5 years. So definitely within what would be Taco's lifetime. Not only that, but our house can be very chaotic. With my niece and nephew, like kids are like a tornado, you know? I mean, there's only so much you can do to control them. And our home, it has always been incredibly important that like our family can come in and out and friends can come in and out. I think when this happened, things just kind of started to spiral a little bit. We had Libby over to do a cooking video with Jay, and Taco was doing pretty good, just walking around the house, and then suddenly he didn't like something Libby was doing and snapped at her. Our dog Petty has always been vocal. Our dog has always barked at people coming into the house and then been immediately fine with them. I think that Taco kind of like misread those signals and really looked at what Petty was doing that was just like her normal behavior as something that should be fearful and scary. So one day my best friend came into the house and Petty was doing her normal thing, and you know, my best friend Allie like went to pet Petty and Taco bit her. None of these bites were like that. They were very, very mild, like very not serious at all. They were open mouth, but closer to nips. I have always been taught that when a dog does something like that, you separate them. You don't like, it's just because a dog bites someone, I can't like tell him, no, 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 like he doesn't, they're not gonna get it, you know? We started realizing that our responsibility was to keep everyone safe and not necessarily to like scold him for biting, because that just, it doesn't really work. We have always believed in positive reinforcement and stuff. There was a short, very short amount of time where we were recommended to try a bark collar. That stuff just made him more anxious. Like that just did not go over well. I wish we wouldn't have done that, just because like it just added something on to his issues that whenever we did it and we shouldn't have, and that happened. It didn't seem to make him worse or better. It was just annoying. Like it seemed to just like annoy him. It was, anyway, I wish that would not have been recommended to us. So we tried to make Taco's life safer. We muzzle trained him so that when he was around people he was unsure of, we didn't have to worry about him harming anyone. He wore his muzzle on walks and stuff. Muzzle training is like the best thing I think we did. I know that people see dogs in muzzles and think like, oh, that's so sad, but like it literally like saved Taco from something terrible happening, because if he would have really bit someone or hurt someone, I mean, something terrible could have happened to him. And it was just really, we felt really responsible for keeping him and everyone around him safe. So we got a muzzle, we put up a gate around our front door so that if anyone came in unexpected, Taco couldn't get to him right away if we needed like a second to get his muzzle on him and get him crated in the other room or whatever. Taco really did not like being crated without Petty, which caused some problems because Petty has always been like a really great dog with visitors and stuff. So Taco would scream and cry if Petty wasn't with him, which would mean that then Petty couldn't spend time with us when visitors were over because she'd have to be in there to comfort Taco. That kind of made us start thinking that like Petty maybe wasn't living her best life. It was kind of like Petty's quality of life had to like go down and she couldn't be around people as much as we wanted her to be because she had to like be bonded with Taco or whatever. Everything that I say in this, I am trying to talk about it in a way that makes it so that I don't cry and I don't get super emotional. So I'm sure it's coming off like too fast and maybe too cold. I don't know, but I'm just trying to get through this video without like sobbing. So if I seem jumbled, that's why. We had a couple incidents with Taco with strangers at the park and stuff, like even on leash where he got like wildly aggressive. So Taco went on medication around a year old. He started doggy Prozac, and he was also on a heart medication that slowed his heart down. It's an anxiety med, but essentially what it does is it slows your heart down so that you can rest. We did see a change in Taco when he started anxiety medicine. It felt really, really promising. We were so excited when he started medicine because he started sleeping and also just like started to chill out enough that we felt like maybe we could actually, like he'd be chilled out enough that we could actually like use positive reinforcement and train him and work on some of his reactive aggressive behaviors. And the medication did change him and it made him more snuggly and it made him sleepier, and obviously it like brought his energy level down significantly. We were really, really hopeful that we could like utilize everything we had been taught to make our home and his life like happy for him. There kept being incidents of him just kind of like losing his shit, and like I am smart about this stuff. I am not, I've owned a dog who was reactive before. I know like the things to look for when they're uncomfortable. I know that they need to just be put away when guests come over so that they don't have to deal with it. I know that they need to be positively reinforced. We would sit out in the front yard and like just give him endless treats when people would walk by so he wouldn't freak out. We were doing everything we could to make him more comfortable. And we were really hopeful that like he would get better. I got sweaty. I think that about the time, I want to say it was like maybe in March of this year, I kind of said to Jay, hey, we don't have people over anymore, like ever. We like, and as soon as we see someone walking up to the house, like our whole bodies clench and we panic that something's gonna happen with Taco or that he's gonna like get upset. I mean, it was a daily. We also lived on this street that was busy and there were students constantly walking by, so we had to like block the windows and stuff. And it was just, even though he could sleep when he was awake, he was, I mean, it felt like he was constantly like upset. He's a dog, like I don't know what his psyche's thinking, you know? I know that he loved us very much, and I know that he loved Petty. And obviously, I don't know what a dog's thinking. I don't know if he thought we were good parents. I'll never know that. I started mentioning to Jay that I felt like we were kind of blocking our life off. It really, really felt like Petty was kind of suffering because Taco couldn't do stuff. There were a couple incidents at daycare where Taco like got out of control and attacked another dog. So Taco was by this point wearing a muzzle to daycare, I believe. There was something in us that was like just telling us that like he was still happy, that like all of this was okay if he was still happy, right? Like if we could look at him at the end of the day and he was like that he was happy. And then we had this big incident at a park where he aggressed towards someone. And I mean, we couldn't bring him back. Like we could not like pulling on the leash, sitting with him, all like we could not get him like back to center. And it scared the shit out of Jay and I. That's when I decided to meet with a dog behaviorist instead of a vet or a trainer. Trainers like do like obedience and stuff like that. Vets do medical. Dog behaviorists are like basically like doggy therapists. So we meet with this dog behaviorist, a very, very well-known dog behaviorist who's famous in positive reinforcement. By the way, all of these things we've been doing with Taco cost astronomical amounts of money. Training is wildly expensive. Being on meds is super expensive. All the vet visits are super expensive. This dog behaviorist is like literally $450 an hour. But I knew that like for our peace of mind, we needed to have this meeting with this dog behaviorist. Jay had to work, so I went to the dog behaviorist meeting on my own. I desperately wish Jay could have come because I think that dog behaviorist meeting gave me so much peace around what Taco needed. I think for several months after we met with the dog behaviorist, Jay felt like just not peaceful about what our decision might have to be. Anyway, I met with the dog behaviorist. Dog behaviorist meets Taco, does like, it was our consultation where he just like asks questions about Taco, asks us about our day. Taco through the whole thing, like is sitting next to me peacefully on the sofa, sleeping. And literally every time the dog behaviorist would move, Taco was like, "Argh." Like it was clear that the dynamic was clear that like, he's a good boy and we love him and he's relaxed with us. And also he hates everybody. The dog behaviorist asked us if we have kids in our life and if we plan to have kids in our life. He looked at me and said, I think that your best option with a dog like this is rehoming, and rehoming sooner rather than later. I did not expect that. I was sure that our dog behaviorist was gonna say, oh, he just needs a different mix of drugs and you need to walk him 6 more times a day and it'll all be fine. I was ill prepared for the dog behaviorist to actually tell me that rehoming was like the best option for him. And then Jay and I spent the next 6 months sitting with that, trying to tell ourselves that he was getting better, coming to terms with our house not being the perfect fit for Taco. Hi, it's me editing. This video sucks to edit, by the way. I just want to say that before we met with the dog behaviorist, there was always this thing in the back of our mind that was like, he's a puppy. I mean, he's still a puppy, you know, like a dog that's 2 years old is a baby. Like they're just babies. So we spent a lot of time thinking that he would grow out of a lot of the things that were happening. And this meeting with the dog behaviorist was really important because he let us know that like puppies shouldn't be acting that way, you know, and that maybe he could grow out of it, but that's a pretty big risk for people who have kids in their home. And that the longer we held on to Taco, kind of the more time we were taking away from him in a better environment was kind of like how the dog behaviorist put it. So yeah, just wanted to mention that through all of this, we really considered his age and that things could change drastically. And I think that's kind of part of the reason we had a hard time like letting go. Okay. The dog behaviorist was incredible. He really explained to us that like rehoming a dog is not the worst thing that a human can ever do. That oftentimes rehoming a dog means that they will have like a more perfect life in the future. And it also gives another family an opportunity to love a dog. And like he said that he really imparted on me that it's much more normal than maybe we think about because we don't talk about it. I am of a family that if you have to rehome a dog, your family members take them. Like we have always just like traded around dogs, right? And with Taco, it was like my parents couldn't take him because my niece and nephew are there, even more unregulated. It would just be dangerous. Like that was the end all be all of that. It was dangerous. And some dogs can't be around kids. So that meeting with the dog behaviorist sucked pretty bad. It was like really good for my soul. Just hearing someone who's like very well known in their field and who like I can trust to really like believe in dogs. It was good. The dog behaviorist did give us a lot of tips and new things to try. So we did those things because you try everything, because you love this dog and you never want to get rid of him. So we tried all the tips and tricks that the dog behaviorist told us, thinking maybe it would help. We did one last ditch effort with another trainer who did in-home training. Their assessment of Taco was also that he likely needed to be a dog by himself in a childless home. We sat with that. One of the big things about rehoming a reactive or aggressive dog is that there's a lot of like safety issues, right? Like I can't just go on Facebook and say, hey, I'm rehoming my dog. Does anyone want him? Because there's like, he needs to go to someone very, very experienced. We contacted rehabilitation places. We contacted rehoming services, and all of them said the same thing. They said that they could help us, but if he was too aggressive, he'd be put down. That didn't feel like an option for us. Obviously, we would have kept Taco literally forever and would have just muzzled him and made sure he and everyone around him were safe for the rest of his life, if that was the only option. We got in contact with the people who we adopted him from. They told us about this incredible program. I'm not gonna give the name of the program just because I'm like, I don't know, I'm anxious about people like, I don't know, trying to adopt him and then doing something bad. My own paranoia is like at work with this YouTube thing right now. It's usually not. I usually don't care. Like Taco's very important to us, so I just want to make sure like I keep him safe. So we learned from the people that we got him from that there was a program and that several of the dogs from Aruba had to go to this program for the same kind of reasons, and that it was in a prison, and the program was basically what they did was they trained inmates to be trainers, and they had like these whole programs where dogs came in and got rehabilitated and then got adopted out. And one of the great things about this program was that they reassured us that Taco was in no danger of ever being euthanized. That just would not happen. And if he was too reactive, or if he couldn't warm up to humans, or if they just didn't feel safe putting him in a home, that he would be like a training dog, right? Like he would, instead of being adopted, he would be one of the dogs that was at the prison and like helped trainers train other trainers. He'd be like an example dog. We were reassured over and over again that these dogs are very, very spoiled, and we looked into the program and it's like really well funded and the community really supported it and stuff. So a short break for crying. For months, I mean all summer, we kind of twiddled our thumbs and we just thought like, nothing's going on, nothing emergent is happening, so we just wanted Taco to stay with us as long as possible. And then we started realizing that like, that's not what's best for Taco. Yeah, we just realized that like, we had to make the decision. We couldn't stay like in this kind of, well, we're keeping him and others safe and that's good enough. We couldn't stay in that space. And that like waiting longer and longer to make a decision was only making it harder on us and Taco. We did a 20-hour road trip to take Taco to this facility, and it was fucking horrible. He was an angel on the road trip, of course. Like, of course, why wouldn't he be? He wants to, you know, tear our hearts up. We drove 11 hours there and 11 hours back to bring him to this program, and it sucked. It was really fucking miserable. And also, the people there are so kind. He's like being spoiled rotten. And we get updates about him. I think that part of me was really scared he would get to this program and that they would be like, I don't know what you're talking about, he's lovely. But they did say, like, they see the behaviors that we were talking about, and that like he's gonna need more time than a lot of dogs and stuff. And they also said that he's, you know, doing great, and that like he's the fastest runner they have, and that he's warming up to his handler, and they've really reassured us and stuff. But the whole thing sucked. It felt like when we took him, coming home, it just felt like everything was a first without him, which really sucked. I think that was about 3 weeks ago. And slowly we are starting to see our house kind of change a little bit. Like I said, the cat like stopped barfing, stopped hiding. Petty completely like has stopped barking at things. She has been able to sleep better, has been less like kind of on edge seeming. She's been more obedient. All those things kind of suck, you know, like it kind of sucks that we had to get rid of one of our best friends for those things to happen. But it's important to see too, because dogs aren't our property. We are responsible to them in that it is our responsibility to make sure that when we adopt, they have their best possible life. And Taco's wasn't with us, and we're really sad about that. Our responsibility was to Taco and finding him the perfect place. We really hope that we did that. And I wanted to share this with you guys because our responsibility is toward the animal and getting them to the best place that they can possibly be. And that wasn't with us for Taco. I think a lot of times we come down really hard on people about pets. And, you know, oftentimes I think people don't have the full story, or we just think you should like, I don't know, we think that you should like kill yourself trying to make a life for an animal. But there are so many people out there who are the perfect fit for your animal. It's so much of what I found online was so hateful towards people who rehome their pets, and especially hateful towards people who rehome their pets for like aggression. Like basically people are just kind of like, just put them in a separate room, it'll be fine. And it's so much more than that. Anyway, I know that I'm gonna get some hateful comments on this video. I know that people will think that we did something wrong. I would like to talk more about this. Ultimately, I think that Jay and I made the right decision for us and our little family, and that's kind of what's most important. I think we made the right decision for Taco too, which is good. I don't know, I'm happy to answer questions. I know that you guys loved Taco. I hate that he's not a part of our family anymore. But just wanted to update y'all. I feel like I could talk about this forever and ever and ever, and I could tell you more and more and more. But at some point, this has to end. This video has to end, I mean. We rehomed Taco. Anyway, everyone's doing okay. Our hearts are aching a little bit, but we know we did the right thing, and we know Taco is going to find an amazing place or be an amazing example for other pups. So, okay guys, until next time, bye.